Motion 103, or M103, passed Canadian Parliament on March 23rd by a vote of 201 to 91. Motion 103 permits the government to set up a committee to investigate offensive speech, discrimination, and harassment against Muslims. The problem with this motion, though, is that we already have laws that protect anyone, including religious minorities, from offensive speech, discrimination, and harassment. So why exactly are these committees and groups being set up in the first place? We already live under a nanny state where you can't say certain types of speech or associate with whoever you want to, so it seems like the motion is going to be attached to Canadian law is just an extra protection for Muslims. Like, on top of the fact that they're already being protected by Canadian law, our government feels like we need to further cater to the whims of Muslims. That's not the part that pisses me off the most, though. The motion itself is unclear and vague. The interpretation of this motion can lead to mild or heavy corrosion of our fundamental rights and freedoms. Take this excerpt as an example. This motion, Motion 103, quote, condemns Islamophobia and all forms of systemic racism and religious discrimination. The wording itself is manipulative as all hell. For starters, the motion is conflating Islam with a race. So if you hate or fear Islam, apparently, according to them, you're also hating and fearing an entire race, even if you happen to be a member of that race in question. Like, if you're dark-skinned, like I am, apparently, hating and fearing Islam is hating and fearing myself because I'm also hating and fearing my own race. I mean, obviously, Islam isn't a race. It's a belief system, maybe even a culture, but it's certainly not a race. The most important criticism of this motion, though, derives from the motion's wording. It uses the term Islamophobia. And what exactly is Islamophobia? What does Islamophobia entail? For example, is this crude drawing of Muhammad Islamophobic? Are political cartoons like these Islamophobic? Are YouTube comments like these Islamophobic? Are books and poems like these Islamophobic? Should they be banned? Are ISIS and Muslim vines too Islamophobic? The truth is, there are going to be people who think books, cartoons, and vines are Islamophobic because it's all incredibly arbitrary. There is no objective line that we can draw, and we shouldn't base our laws on arbitrary definitions of what's bigoted, even in a case-by-case basis, so each individual judge determines whether or not something is Islamophobic. In common law, numerous judges can disagree with each other. They use their own discretion, after all, and there is no civil law for them to frame their decisions or rulings, except in Quebec, which is Francophone, which uses civil law, Napoleonic law. So in common law, which is British Canadian law, maybe one judge might make a sensible ruling, but it only takes one other judge to change everything. More so, the word Islamophobia is manipulative. The word phobia implies an irrational fear. However, it's not irrational to fear the misogynistic and violent aspects of Islam. And that's what people dislike about Islam. It's not that they dislike Muslims or Arab people as a whole, though it can be conflated as the same by both the left and the right. It's that we criticize Islam as a belief system in the same way we criticize Christianity as a belief system. The word Islamophobia is nonsense. A phobia implies being irrationally afraid of something, but even if we are afraid of something, we're not fearful of people, as in Arabs or all Muslims, but we're fearful of a person holding a particular set of beliefs that is violent and oppressive in nature, like we see in ISIS or Saudi Arabia. So it turns out that our government in the future might be legislating against the fear of a set of beliefs. It may be against the law to fear ideas. In Canada, here in Canada, we're a bloody Western country, and they're making that. This is occurring in a country that has absolutely no former history in the Islamic tradition whatsoever. Unsurprisingly, the law was proposed by a Pakistani immigrant who's now a parliamentarian. Watch this video of her answering questions from reporters. See whether or not you can trust her.
I'm very, very happy that this motion has passed, and I'm really looking forward to the study now being conducted by the Standing Committee of Canadian Heritage.
Do you ever think that you could have allayed the Conservatives' concerns by putting a definition of Islamophobia between a couple of commas in that motion?
I'm really looking forward to the committee making that conclusion.
But you haven't answered my question. Do you ever think you could have allayed their concerns by just
I don't think so, no.
Why not?
Any more questions?
Why don't you answer my question?
I'll give her credit. She talks like a politician. At least she has that going for her. If she was an honest person or honest politician, she would admit that this motion is a blasphemy law. It's Sharia law creeping into Canada. It's a blasphemy law with Sharia foundations because the wording of this law logically gives way to it functioning as a hammer against those who criticize Islam or make fun of Islam. In the near future, who knows? Maybe it might be illegal in Canada for me to say that much of Islam and the Muslim world is terrible, and we need to empower the reformers in order to change the religion and the culture. It'll be illegal for me to say that in Canada because my government would literally think that I'm a racist for saying that fact. I'm Jay Feza from the Rebel.media. If you're sick and tired of our fundamental rights and freedoms being corroded by politicians and Muslim extremists, like and subscribe to the Rebel.media.